Well, all right, everyone, and welcome back to episode 7 of the Improv Life, Fernando's Improv Blog podcast. And today I have the amazing, the wonderful, the hilarious Coop Foster, who can bring down an audience with a single twitch of her eyebrow or just like a vocal inflection, because I have seen it. I have witnessed it, and she is hilarious. I don't know why. You don't ask the ocean why it's wet, and just Coop is hilarious. How you doing, Coop?
Thank you so much. That was the most amazing intro ever. Thank you so much. I am doing as well as can be expected right now in this weird time, but
It is a weird time. Well, here's why. The reason I gave you that intro was because you and I haven't done a lot together. I feel like we're parallel, like a lot. I've seen you perform a lot. You've probably seen me perform a few times. We were both part of Bitty Bitty Bang Bang, which was a really cool show in retrospect. A show written by Jerry Hernandez. Written by Jerry Hernandez and directed by Maria Felix and musical director Ali Liu, put on by the Color Collective. Coop played Puff Daddy, and I think, yes, I don't know who casted it. Whatever, I'm not gonna comment on that. But she literally just came out and she just went like, or something like that. Whatever Puff's thing was back in the '90s, like, see, I can't even do it. It's harder than it looks. Yeah, and oh my god, the audience fucking lost it. They laughed so much, and I don't think it had all the lines, right? Because that was kind of like the bit of that character was that Puffy was just kind of one dimension or whatever.
yeah, I think I had like 3 lines in the whole thing.
But you crushed it. I think people came up to you afterwards and were like, "Man, that Puff Daddy, like, wow, like great evidence that there's no small roles, only small actors, and you are not a small actors by any means of the imagination with what you did that night." Yeah, that's why I gave that intro. So nice, and you crush it in other ways as well. But let's talk about how is this fucking quarantine going for you? This I originally talked to you. You made this powerful post. I miss performing, and it really resonated with me. So can we talk about that? What do you think?
For sure, for sure. Yeah, it was the first 2 weeks of quarantine. I was like, I needed a break because I was doing so many shows every week, but I loved it so much. It was like I would go from one show literally at 9 and then do another show at 10:30. Like that was just my life for the entire time that I've lived here. I've just like been on the grind, no time for rest. Can't stop, won't stop, as Puff Daddy says. Um, so it was really hard after the first 2 weeks. I was like, okay, I'm done resting. I miss performing. I miss my friends. I miss rehearsal. I just miss the smell of the theater. All of those things were so ingrained in me because that's my lifestyle. That's the reason why I moved to LA. So not having that right now it is rough. And I just miss the grind of it all.
I can relate with you 100%. For those of you who aren't in LA doing the LA grind, Coop and I are part of a very lucky many, or very lucky few, I don't know what the numbers are, who literally, you do one show at 9 at one theater and you race to another theater to do another show. And sometimes it could just be a 5-minute bit, or it can be like a full sketch show or a full improv set. And you kind of learn to live with all that adrenaline and energy, and you don't second guess it. It's just life, and you do it multiple nights a week. So to lose that so suddenly, not even gradually, it wasn't like it trickled down or whatever, slowed down. It was just like, nope, we're done. So I feel you. It took me a while too. Like, so how was it after those first 2 weeks of being, I'm rested now? Like when did you realize, like, fuck, we're not gonna go back?
Well, I kept having hope that, everybody's like, okay, like June, this will probably like clear. And I was like, man, I don't know if I can wait till June. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And it was just like slowly starting to realize, like, no, this is a new way of life. Now you have to figure out how to be creative in this pandemic. So a lot of people started doing Twitch shows, and at first I wasn't on board with it. I was like, I don't understand, how are these people doing this? But then I started doing them, and it definitely filled that void a little bit. But I need to be performing. Like I know it made me realize that I'm in the right place doing what I'm supposed to be doing, because I miss it and need it so much. And just made it such a part of my lifestyle that I solidified the reason why I'm here.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty cool actually. So you actually had kind of like you're like, no, I made the right choice because you're in San Francisco and
Mhm.
like you're part of that scene. I was part of that scene for a little bit too, and I feel like it's a good scene, but I feel like it must have its limits where you're like, okay, I've done all I can do here, or I've reached the pinnacle for me personally. I need to like push on. What was it that pushed you to come to LA? Because also San Francisco, it's a very comfy scene. I feel like you could be there for a long time and no one would care. Everyone will love you forever.
Yeah, for sure. The thing that pushed me was like, okay, this is acting and performing is a part of my life. I want to do it forever. But I'm not able to do it in San Francisco. There's not a whole lot of sketch comedy opportunities in San Francisco. I took a sketch class that didn't even have enough students to have a part two to it. So I was like, you know what? I don't think this is the place for sketch. And it was a brand new sketch class on top of that. So San Francisco is mostly improv and stand up. Sketch doesn't really have a huge home there. So I knew that I had to leave San Francisco to do that and pursue acting more vigorously. I don't know. I've been inside so long, I don't know words. Um, but yeah, weren't a whole lot of auditions for me there. So I was just doing mostly like print stuff. I hosted some stuff for realtor.com, and it was like an ongoing show for Weird Homes, and that was like the ceiling for me there. So I knew that I just had to make a change if I really wanted to make this my lifestyle.
Wow, that is a bold choice. Yeah, you're right. When I was up there, I think I saw one sketch show, but it was my friends who had put it together independently, produced and written and directed and all that stuff, which is an amazing accomplishment. But it's a lot of work to get that done just as individuals. It's easier to have a theater's backing.
Mhm.
Was it like a gradual choice, like, or did one moment you just like, I'm getting the fuck out of here? Like how was it?
It was it was a thoughtful choice over the course of like 8 months. So I was in a kind of a corporate-ish job that I was like, I can't, this is not my life. And actually the director that directed me for the realtor.com show came to visit me, and he was like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, why do you have a normal 9 to 5 job? What are you doing with your life? And I was like, I know, I don't know what's happening. So at some point I was just like, all right, I can dream about it or I can actually do it. And then moved here with $1,000 and slept on a couch for a week and found an apartment within that week and was off and running. And I just cried myself to sleep every day while I was here because it's such a different place than San Francisco. So I missed my community and I will say it was a hard move because I loved my life in San Francisco. Um, and I love San Francisco so much. Everybody who knows me, they were like, "You'll be back in maybe a month," and I was like, "No, I'm gonna give it a whirl."
Well, you grew
And
up in the Bay Area, right?
yeah, I did.
Well, I mean, that's tough then, because I mean, San Francisco has a lot of transplants. I was a transplant up there, so I don't know. It might be easier if like you moved from the East Coast somewhere to the Midwest, and it's like, oh, San Francisco, LA, whatever. I can keep moving. But if you literally grew up there, that is a big choice. It's a bigger choice than for other people, I think.
For sure, especially if you really genuinely love your life there. So it's just like everything's perfect right now. The only thing that's not perfect is I'm not doing exactly what I want to do. So that took a long time for me to come to terms with when I moved here. So it was very hard for me the first 2 years, where that's part of why I didn't get rest, is just was like, I hate it here so much. So if I'm gonna be here, there will be no downtime. I will be producing, I will be acting, I will be auditioning, I will be writing, I will be performing, I will be doing everything when I'm not at my day job. So like the amount of stuff that I did my first year here is insane. Like I don't understand how I kept that going.
Well, let's speak to that. Why did you hate it? Was it because of the job you had, or is it just because you're transitioning to a new environment? The whole LA versus San Francisco thing, or NorCal versus SoCal, which is a thing. I have to
It
admit
is.
that it is a thing. When I went up there, I was like, "What the hell is this place?" I mean, but over time, I grew to love it. I love NorCal to death. It's a great place. But what was it that made it just so hard to be here beyond such a big transition?
It was literally everything. It was my job, my day job that I had. It was being broke as hell. It was missing my community, like being able to be in nature. Like I loved going to the Presidio every weekend. I loved walking around Aquatic Park. It's just like the little things that you miss. I miss being able to see friends often. I miss being able to be like, hey, meet me at the wine bar in 15 minutes. And you actually meet in 15 minutes.
Are people more punctual in NorCal? I've always been late. People in SoCal, if you say 8, they mean 8:30, you know?
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, you can make plans like a week in advance with people in NorCal. Here, it's like, yeah, you make plans the next week, but we'll see if they actually come true, you know?
Yeah, the laid backness. It's crazy how many productive, amazing people live here, but the laid backness is like, it's so ingrained. It's such an ingrained part of the culture that like, yeah, let's see what happens. You know, I even message you this. Oh, we'll make it happen.
Like I'm get to that too. Like I've definitely taken on that part. I hated it at first, but now I'm like, it's just part of life. You got to get on board.
Yeah, there is a super chill factor down here that maybe if you're, because you know, when I was in San Francisco, someone told me, all right, when you're on BART and you're going up the escalator, you have to go to the right, because for the people that want to go, that want to rush to where they're going, they hike up or they like sprint up the escalator. And I had no idea that was a thing, and I was like, whatever. So one day I was like, I'm gonna go on the left, and there's so many people who were pissed off at me because they were kind of like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't you know this is like, there's etiquette for this? But yeah, people, I feel like up there, they're just like, they're busier than, I don't say they're busier, they're just more like on it. I think they're just more like, we got to get this done. Maybe it could be a Silicon Valley thing. I don't know what it is, but
I don't know what it is either. But that was one of the first things I noticed about LA is they don't know the etiquette of standing to one side. So I was like, get out of my way. Because I had to take the train when I first moved here, and I was like, don't you people know that you stand to the right? And it's just, I could not get over the fact that it wasn't, I thought it was everywhere that everybody did that. But apparently it's just us Bay Area people.
Well, I mean, because the Bay Area, like, I don't know if it's as big as LA, but there's so many people there and there's so much activity that you can't waste a moment. Everything has to be done at the time it's scheduled. We're here, it's like, all right, guys, we're going to hang out, and it's going to begin when it begins and then ends when it ends. So I could see how that was hard. Was it hard, like the loneliness? Was there a lot of loneliness when you first came here?
Oh my God, so much. That's when I realized, like, okay, you really aren't going to have the same kinds of friendships you had in Northern California. You're not going to be able to see people as easily. Like, I lived maybe 4 minutes away from my only friend that was here. She's my friend from college. I would maybe see her twice a month.
Jeez.
Yeah. And so I spent most of my time alone, writing, like making a plan, hustling, doing all that. So I filled that time with being productive, but it was definitely super lonely, super sad. I spent my birthday by myself, because I had just moved here 2 months before my birthday. And I was like, I'm just gonna go see some UCB shows. It's gonna be great. But that was before I found out my ticket was for Franklin, but I went to Sunset.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. Wow.
So it was just like me sadly wandering around the streets like, what have I done?
Oh,
I missed the show that I wanted to see, and I can't get to it. Yeah.
I wish I could travel back in time and hang out with you and just tell you it's all going to be okay. Because you're doing amazing now. I mean, I think you are. I think you're very hilarious and you're fucking crushing it. So it was hard, but it was worth it. Was there like, what gave you strength during that time? Because I think, you know, a lot of people come to LA and, you know, they can't make it, not because they don't have talent or gifts, but I can't imagine. It's like, I live in Orange County, so everyone knows I commute an hour, but I come home every day. So it's not that hard. I don't have a lot of friends that still talk to Orange County, if I'll be honest with you, because much of my life is in LA, but I haven't had to do that psychological, spiritual, geographical transition to LA. And LA is this mythical beast. So, like, how did you find strength during that transition time?
It was basically me saying like, okay, yeah, you can go back to the Bay Area and be happy, but will you really be happy because you won't be able to do what you want? And so I would keep reminding myself of that. And then I would be like, fuck it, I'm just like gonna be a normal person who doesn't care about performing. And then every time I would have that thought, literally every time, I would book something amazing or get on a show that like I couldn't imagine being on at the moment. Like something amazing happened every time. I was like performing, interviewing, doing stuff with these people I was literally watching on TV 8 months before I even, like, it was, my mind was like, what the fuck? What, I'm going up on a show after all of these comedians that I was just watching on TV. Oh my God, like everything just felt amazing and electric, and like I was in the place that I was supposed to be. So having that constantly happen definitely helped.
Wow, that's super cool. You had every time you wanted to quit, the universe gave you validation.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's really cool. Actually, it's like the universe saying, "No, you got to be here." I want to sidetrack a little bit. How cool is it that this person who I think you just met or didn't know that well, literally came to your job and intervened on you? That is one of the coolest things I ever heard. That's never happened to me. I've always had to be my own hero and cheerleader. But the fact that someone like was like, "Fuck, Coop, what the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, it
Like
was.
tough love, but like encouragement. Like, how was that moment? Was that a special moment for you? Did it resonate with you then, or did you later on figure out like, "Oh fuck, that guy was trying to save me or help me"?
Oh, it was resonating with me then. I was like, okay, now I'm on the path that I'm supposed to be on. And I got, before I moved here, like maybe 2 days before I moved here, if anybody is from the Bay Area, you know Sword and Rose. They are the best place on earth. I got a reading from Crystal, the most amazing spirit I've ever met. And she was like, listen, I'm going to be real with you. Whatever you're about to do, it's going to be hard, really hard for you for the first couple of years, but I'm telling you, it's going to pay off. It's going to be the best decision you've ever made. And I was like, what? Okay. So I was kind of bracing myself for bad times, but every time I was unsure, like I said, all those great things happened. And so
Wow. What
even
two?
like recently I've just had like amazing stuff happening where I was like, oh God, I just want to be a normal person. I'm tired of wanting to perform. Just let me be normal. And then boom, something amazing happens.
Wow, that is so cool. So you had a psychic reading. Wow, I mean, when your like FX bio show comes out, the pilot's going to be amazing. All these different things coming into your life. Well, what was like a breakthrough moment for you here, or like what was that first victory where you're like, all right, you know what, I think I'm going to make it, or you know what, I am for sure not going back to San Francisco. Do you have a moment like that, or was it like a series of
Oh,
ones?
for sure. It was really early on when I was here and I performed at UCB for the first time because everybody, I had gone to UCB as a audience member because I've always loved sketch comedy in New York when I was in college, like a million years ago. It was very early on in the UCB world, and it was just, we're all packed in this little theater and they're doing sketch comedy. And I just remember turning to my friend and being like, I want to do this. I'm gonna do it. And then the classes were only like $150 at the time. And I remember
What?
like, I'll never be able to afford a class at UCB. Oh, what am I gonna do? So I ended up not being able to take the class because I was in college. And I moved out here with the goal of being able to take at least one class. And I only planned to take one class. And it was just to get my foot in the door here in the scene And I just remember the first time I performed on stage at UCB, and I was like, wow, this is fucking insane. Like, I am at the holy grail of it all, where it all began, you know, where I wanted to perform since it was probably like 12 years before, you know. So it was just that moment where I was like, okay, this is the thing.
What show was that for?
I don't even remember the show.
Was it like
No,
an improv show or a sketch show?
it was a sketch show. Oh, I lied. It was the Beat Around. It was a Sanctum show. And I was like, wow, I really made it.
No, I mean every win is a win, and like
Yeah,
the wins are proportional to your journey, you know, like
for sure.
yeah, like hey, no real, you know, people, you know, move their whole lives to take UCB improv level 101 and just get on the stage, you know, so like it is a big deal. So I think that's amazing that you did that. What was the next one? What was the next milestone? Because you're right, that is a big deal to do your first big show, you know, like in a stage that you respect or we want to do. Like that's validation for you. And if you make people laugh even more, it's like, oh fuck, you know, because there's no better validation than making a bunch of strangers laugh.
Exactly.
If you can make a bunch of strangers who have no obligation to you laugh, then fuck, you know you got it. I know that's kind of a little arrogant, but like I love making strangers laugh.
Any comedian will say the same thing. It is the best feeling in the world where like it just goes off without a hitch. I think the next milestone was definitely being asked because somebody saw me perform in another show to be in a show at Franklin. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? You want me to perform at Franklin? Of course. So that was amazing. And I just remember being on stage like, what the fuck? I just paid to see a show here when I first moved here. And now look at me, I'm here and I'm scribbling my name backstage and I've really made it. And so, yeah, that was definitely the next big thing.
Dude, that's so awesome. You know, that Franklin stage is very nice. I've only performed it on once myself. But if you're doing improv or sketch, just comedy in general, that's a great stage to do shows on.
Mm-hmm.
So that sounds amazing. So you had these like, it sounds like you made the right choice. It's just it was really hard at first,
Yeah.
and you didn't give up. So like, it sounds to me like people were just like loving you. Are there any people who have like really elevated you here, or have embraced you, or been like, Coop, you're one of my people now. I want to take care of you. Because I imagine it's got to be hard making friends or like real friends.
Yeah.
I feel like LA improv and sketch. You have a lot of friends who they're your friend 1 month for like a month for a season, but then you're not friends anymore. Like it's hard. I would consider you an actual friend. I've known you for a long time. You know, we don't like hang out all the time, but you're fucking super cool.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like because like you're part of Agency, right? Like was Agency the first group to embrace you, or how was that?
I've only had a good experience with the comedy community in LA. And I was shocked how people just want to help you. Even if they don't tell you that they want to help you, they'll just fucking help you. And that blows my mind. Like the kindness, the I got your back. They're not like, oh, I could do this for you. I could do this for you. They will literally just do it for you, or they'll recommend you for stuff. Like I had someone amazing recommend me for the CBS diversity what is it called?
Oh, showcase. No way. Are you serious?
Okay.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, and she didn't tell me, she didn't make a big scene out of it, she just did it. And that, I have so much respect for that kind of help, where it's like she wasn't trying to get like be like, I'm responsible for that, or this success is based on what I did for you. It was just like, I think you're good, I'm going to refer you. And I have so much respect for that. Shout out to Ashley, you're amazing. Yeah, just people constantly doing things like that and recommending you and like kind of taking you under their wing. I had so much respect for these people who just will hold you down just because they like what you do. And yeah, I've been very fortunate to have that.
Whoa, you are hilarious. Everyone, if you haven't seen Coop yet, or those of you have, you know how funny she is. Coop is super funny, but I think you're right though. You know, I try to help people as much as I can, but it's never been like, oh, right now you owe me a favor or something. Like that's so creepy or
Yeah.
weird. It's just more like if you see someone is good for something, like just lead them in that direction and whatever happens, happens. But like I'm not trying to put strings on anyone. Did you experience that in the Bay Area or something? I've experienced it in other places where it's like, yes, now you owe me a part of your soul or some shit like that.
Yeah, luckily I hadn't experienced that, but I definitely had seen it around when it comes to things outside of comedy. So I was like, what is this person's motivations? But luckily, like I said, I've only had amazing people who really just have had my back when they didn't even have to. So I try to pay that forward. Anytime I see something that's right for somebody, I'll recommend them or send them or do whatever I can do, just because I love seeing the comedy community just help build each other up.
No, you're right. And LA people build you up a lot. You know, I feel like not everyone is going to be your friend necessarily in terms of let's hang out, but I don't think anyone is actively, at least not towards me, like being like, we got to like take him down or block opportunities from him. Or if they are, they failed or I have no idea what happened. So how would you sum up your first year in LA then? Like, did it take you 1 year or 2 years to finally be comfortable here? Because it sounds to me like you would have these victories, like these confirmations, but then, I don't know, something would happen in between where you're like, fuck, I'm going to go back. And then like another validation. Like, was that like just all year one? And then after you beginning year two, you're like, I'm staying? Or was it like,
Honestly, it's ongoing. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's hard for it's been hard the whole time, but like I said, all these great things keep happening. I feel like I'm just starting to get comfortable this year.
how
Like
long have you been here now?
I'm almost at year 4, and
What? Are you serious?
yeah, and I just am feeling comfortable now. Like I love my home. I love what I'm doing. I love the opportunities that I'm getting. I feel like I'm just now hitting my stride. Like, wow, okay, this is happening. Like things are actually happening.
Oh, okay, that's awesome. Is there any of them you'd like to share, or something that you just want to keep under the wraps? Because I know because if it's something big, you got to keep it to yourself. Because I don't know, you know what I mean. But is there like something big like that?
There's something shocking. It's something big that I can't share details about it, and I want to so much, but they're really strict on the privacy thing. But it's something where I was like, I thought it was a mistake that I got it. So I had to reread the information maybe 4 times. And I was like, maybe this is an ad for a show coming out. And then I saw my name in it. And they're like, hey, Cooper, blah, blah, blah. Here's the casting. And I'm like, wait, what? How did I end up here? What? But yeah, I'm very excited about
What?
something that's coming where I am shocked with the cast. It's a very small part in something that's really cool.
All right, and I think that's enough information. I think that's a tease. We're all gonna want to watch it now. That's a tease, and I'm sure it's gonna be fucking awesome. Wow, that's really cool. So you like that's got to be an amazing piece of news. Like, so when you receive that news, what went through you? Like how do you experience that?
I was just sat staring at a wall for the first hour because I was like, is this real? And I was afraid to celebrate until I got the actual contract. I was like, I'm afraid to celebrate because it's like too good. Oh, what's happening? Like things are actually happening. What's going on in the world?
What? Wow. Okay. I know what you mean. Sometimes there's like you get this big opportunity or this thing you've worked for so hard is confirmed, but it's almost like no.
Yeah, it's hard to like let your mind accept that things are happening in a big way.
Well, I mean, you're very talented and fucking hilarious as hell. So that's gotta feel really good. I hope nothing but good things come from it and that more opportunities spring from it. So yeah, I mean like I think about a lot of people's careers and like it's all just it's like a springboard or it's tears, like you gotta do this thing to do the next thing. So like had you not like left San Francisco and the million things in between, you wouldn't have had that moment of The Contract. Whatever it is, can't wait to watch it when it comes out. Uh, wow. So do you feel the fortune teller was correct then?
I do. I definitely do. I knew in my heart that it would be good for me to move, but I knew it would be uncomfortable because growth is always uncomfortable and getting outside of your box is always uncomfortable. But yeah, if I didn't feel like something good could come from this, then I wouldn't have uprooted my life and moved here. So she's validation, but also I had that validation before I even went to her. And I was like, I know what I'm doing, even though I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay, it's almost as if like I want to buy this car, and then like you go to the car salesman. This is the best car we have. Okay, so I was right. Uh,
Yeah.
did you have any cheerleaders besides that man or that person who told you to like do it? Like, how was your family friends in the Bay Area? Where they're like, "Yeah, Coop, go." No, Coop, we don't want you going and becoming a hollow LA person. Like how was it telling people?
Um, so no one was really surprised because I've been doing theater since I was in elementary school. So
Are you
nobody,
serious? No
yeah,
way.
so like I've always been doing something theater related or acting related or even just performing for my family when they don't want me to, or just being goofy for my family when they're not interested in it. So it wasn't really that big of a surprise, but everybody definitely, all my family cheered for me. And they're like, yeah, go follow your dreams, go follow your goals. Yeah, you do it. Of course, you're going to do that. Like, it was just very, like, of course, this is what you're going to do. It's not surprising.
What? That's awesome. Your story is very inspirational. Do people know your story?
I don't think so. I don't really, I feel like I'm always like, next thing, next thing, next thing. And sometimes I just don't reflect on where I've come from and what has led me to my goals. So I feel like maybe not a lot of people know my story. They probably think I just like showed up here and I was like, I'm gonna act.
Well, the thing is, like, from the time I've met you, I had no idea that you're having this struggle this first year here. I thought you were just kicking ass from day one because I saw your amazing show, that dating podcast, and Kaylee Quick was one of your guests, and I think the writing assistant for like Powerpuff Girls or something. It was this very big gentleman. I remember that guy, very cool guy. So I thought, oh, you have a show at the Pack. You must be kicking ass. But in reality, that was just like one aspect of the journey.
Yeah, for sure. That was like me being so fearless, doing basically me applying to become a doctor with no experience. I was just like pitching myself to all the theaters and I was like, I got this great idea for a show. I have this podcast. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it was just like, let me walk into this huge theater and pitch myself. And then all these people were saying, oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah, do a show here. I had a run at iOS. I was pitching shows at UCB and I was getting put on hold for the weird pitches I was doing for UCB. And they're like, hey, we're filled up, but we'll keep you in mind. And then I was like, yeah, sure. And then they called and said, hey, we actually want you to put up that show next week. So
What?
all these
That's
cool things were
awesome.
happening to somebody who was here for maybe 6 months.
What was one of those pitches from UCB, and like, what was it, like a spank show, or just like they give you like an open slot? How was that?
Yeah, it was actually for the Sanctum calendar, and I had pitched two different shows. One was Vin Diesel's. It was like a Vin Diesel show, Beautiful World by Vin Diesel. I don't know. I was gonna host a show as Vin Diesel, and I had never seen any Fast and Furious movies. I was just basing it off of interviews that I had seen him in because he's fucking insane, and like my thought of what he would be like, and I was literally ready to come in as Vin Diesel on a skateboard. And another pitch that I had was it was basically like a public access show, which was sketch comedy. So a bunch of sketch acts coming in as a public access show. And so I ended up getting to do that one in the Sanctum because they're like, hey, we have an open slot and we liked your show idea. Go do it. And I was like, okay. And it was so
Wow.
fun and amazing.
How did you pitch the shows? I think Man, I've, I'm one who's easily intimidated sometimes. I have to admit that. Maybe you don't think I'm, but sometimes I am. How did you just like, how did you just like, I'm just gonna pitch everyone. I don't care who they are. Was it like a detailed pitch or just like a sentence? Like, how would you pitch it?
I did like a sentence up top, and then I detailed how the show would run, and I just basically was like, I'm just gonna pitch to all the theaters I want to perform at, and 3 of the 4 that I pitched to said okay.
Well, who was that fourth theater that didn't take your pitch?
I think it was the Ruby.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right. Nothing against the Ruby. I don't know a lot about them, but I'm because if UCB and the PAC and iOS are like, come over here and do shows. Wow, that's really cool. So you actually did a show that you pitched. So did you have show running experience, or were you just like,
Oh,
I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna do it?
I just figured it out. I basically put myself in the shoes of the audience. I was like, what would I want to see if I was going to a show? So I kind of built the show around what I was into, essentially.
Wow. So you just kind of like do things, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. And you're finding success with that, like, let's just build the parachute while we jump out of the airplane type thing.
Uh-huh. Because that's the only way you can learn. You just learn from doing and failing and reconfiguring things, and yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So it seems like you've had all this success here. Like, yeah, it's been rough, and you say you still struggle with the like, am I in the right place? And but you get this validation. So let's come back to the present. I could see now why it would be so hard to have this quarantine hit and be like, shit, it all came to a stop.
Yeah, for sure. Like just going from a million miles an hour to zero it was shocking and it was sad, and you just miss all of these things you didn't realize you loved, like me sneezing when I put on a wig that's been upstairs for too long. I'm not doing that.
Is that a thing? Oh my god, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
I am so allergic to dust. So me putting these dusty ass costumes on will cause me a sneeze attack, but just have a beer and get ready to go on stage. And it's just getting to do all these crazy, dumb, creative things with your friends is just, it's so for my soul.
Wow, that's so awesome. Well, could you share with us real fast what your schedule was like then?
Oh,
Just because, like, yeah, or like Sunday to Saturday, just like a quick glance, if you feel comfortable with that, just so that people realize, no, we are really busy. Because I'm sure you have a day job too, or you do whatever side hustles you have to do to pay the bills. What
mhm.
was your like Sunday to like Saturday schedule, or like whatever Monday to Sunday? How about that?
Yeah. So I for sure had full time Monday through Friday, 9 to 6 day job. But as soon as that day job was over, go straight to whatever theater I was performing at, do a run through. Oh, but before you even get to that point, you got to go to rehearsals. So you go to the writers' meetings for whichever shows, and I was doing maybe 3 different shows a week. So whatever that was, learning the lines from each one of those shows, going to rehearsals for each one of those shows, um, and then actually doing the shows. Sometimes the shows would be on the same night. So you would go from work at 6 to rehearsal at 6:15 to show at 8 to another show right after that. Maybe it's next door at the theater that you're at, or maybe it's a little bit across town, but it was, you go straight to the next thing and you just have to switch modes so quickly. So that was like basically every week was doing writing, rehearsal, learning your lines, doing the shows, and then getting asked to do another show the following week. And so having to read over the lines for that, coming up with characters for a show. It was just all nonstop after work hours, sometimes during work hours, because thank you, day job.
How do you? Wow, I know what you mean. Like, I feel like we're all kind of like Clark Kent here in terms of you have this day job that you need to pay your bills, but it's not your passion clearly. What do you tell you? Do your bosses know that you're into comedy, or do you try to hide that?
No, they definitely know because I would take lunch breaks for an hour and a half to go to auditions. So like at some point I had to be like, okay, this is what I'm doing and this is why I'm late. And they're like, okay, we don't know if you're gonna be able to work here for very long. And I would just be like, okay, well, we'll see. So
Oh,
luckily that worked out.
oh, okay. So you're clearly good at what you do because they're like, I'm sure they have to like be okay with you doing that every now and then, or as however whatever pace you do it.
Yeah.
So, all right, they're okay with that. Like, how do you manage all your energy then? Because for me, it's funny now that I'm home, I feel like I have less energy just because like it was kind of like, all right, go to work. I gotta get all this stuff done.
Mhm.
I'm gonna race to LA. I'm gonna eat a Red Bull or eat Del Taco. I had terrible diet. Uh, maybe get enough sleep. I feel I've aged myself low key. I feel like I've aged myself more than I should have just from this crazy schedule. So
Same.
how do you manage your sleep and your energy and all that stuff?
I wasn't, honestly. It was like the adrenaline of doing what I wanted to be doing. And then I just go into work, day job, groggy as hell, and just looking forward to the next show and wearing layers of clothes because I was like, okay, I have to go straight from work and then do this show. And then I would map out the characters I was doing in the show. So I would basically be dressed in layers. I was like,
And
okay,
you would wear your costume the whole day?
yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go straight to the theater, get some Taco Bell, like grab some coffee, and then just do the run through. And then I just have to take off this layer to be this character. And I was literally, it was just so ingrained in me that I was like, okay, this is what I have to do.
Oh my God, that is crazy. But I've done it. I've done it as well. But I had no idea that you had the layers. Like,
Oh yeah.
oh my God. And
Oh,
then I'm always, what is the craziest day you ever had doing that? Because I feel like I literally had days where I was like, all right, rehearsal, class, set, like at the clubhouse, or then like show, and like I don't know how I did it, but it's almost like it's better than not doing it.
yeah.
What was like one of the craziest days you've ever had in LA?
Ooh, there are so many. I feel like it was going from Bitty Bitty Bang Bang to Agency to like there was some other show after that too. And
Oh, I remember that. Yes.
I was like, what the hell? And you have to just switch modes so fast. You come out of so when you're doing a sketch show, you're probably in at least 4 sketches. So you have maybe 8 to 12 scripts you need to memorize for that
Shit.
one day and then change those modes. So I was like, what the fuck am I doing? This is amazing though.
Was it okay? Because all right, I remember because I think I did. I had one of those nights too for that show. Was it like? Was it Bitty Bang Bang, then Bajancy, and then Nikki Urban show? Because I
I
that
think
was one.
I think
Yeah, yeah, and then that's crazy. Yeah, because you and Marcelina were in both shows, and she did all those shows that night. Which she's a trooper, she's a champion. So,
mhm.
but you're right though. That was one of those nights where I think and then I think Jerry is the head writer of what's now called the Happy Sappy Grown Up Hour,
Mhm.
and Maria was also head writer back then as well. So they literally were doing Bitty Bitty Bang Bang, and then the Nikki Urban show. I think it was like the second one too, or the first one, something like that.
Second one. It was wild because I was literally changing clothes from being a cop to becoming Abraham Lincoln in another show. And it was just like, this is a weird life and I love it.
Dude, you're right. It is a weird life, but you do love it because you don't want to be doing other stuff. It's like I just don't want to hang out and do nothing. I want to be doing shows and playing multiple parts. And you're right though, because there is a high of like, all right, that sketch killed. That sketch killed. We gotta go fucking keep the energy up. Or that sketch didn't do so well. All right, I gotta go and like, kick it up a notch and really bring them back or something. Or you're just performing so much that you're just like lost in this haze of stage and acting and adrenaline. I'm pretty sure that meltdown. I don't say meltdown. That's too strong a word. Whatever. I had an emotional shutdown. Let me be honest with you. The first like month or two of quarantine, I just shut off all my emotions. I was talking to people. I'm a leader of some groups. I think like, Fernando, what the fuck is going on with you? And it was kind of like, I'm not emotionally available. But I think maybe because of the adrenaline, you know, we don't realize how much adrenaline we are feeding into our bodies with all these shows. And like, you know, that thing you're talking about, that's normal for us. The fact doing 2 shows in one night and then racing to the next theater and fucking finding parking and then racing to be on time. I've been late to so many shows, but luckily they're like, all right, man, we'll schedule your bit a little later in the show. Or I've at least once or twice, I've walked into improv sets that already started without me, and I'm like, I'm here because people respect you that much.
Yeah, like I'm surprised I haven't been towed from Gelson's because I've parked in that parking lot so many times for shows that I was like running late for, not even running late for, just like I like to be there in a certain amount of time so I can mentally prepare in the green room and have my costumes laid out. And I was like, fuck it, I'm parking in Gelson's because I don't want to look for parking around Franklin. So whatever. I'm surprised I haven't been towed because I've just left my car there for so many hours, and it's like for shows at midnight on top of that. So it's obvious I'm not shopping in the grocery store.
Wow, that's even more validation. Than the universe is like, we are not going to tow your car because you need to do this show. Wow. Coop, this has been great talking to you today because I think you're one of the few people, I think you and I can relate on these things so much. And I think there's like, not realize there's a few of us because there's a lot of comedians, but not a lot of comedians who are in LA and who are doing literally the 2-3 shows in the night thing on top of the rehearsals. Like, it's just a big mad dash. So maybe for us here in LA, maybe it hit us harder just because of like, fuck, the train came to a full stop. And the train has been running for fucking years. Every year, it gets faster and faster and faster. So, how about this? What would you tell your past self right now, when like maybe they're at their lowest in terms of like not believing in themselves about the journey? Because you've come so far, and it seems like you have so far to go. What would you say if you don't mind, if you wouldn't mind exploring that?
Sure, I would just tell myself, like, just keep going. Like, all the things you're worried about, they will fucking figure themselves out and just keep grinding because all of the hard work will lead to where you want to be.
Fuck yeah, I love that. That was to the point, and it was great. I want to wish you so much luck on all these amazing opportunities that are coming your way, and I hope that they are just a catalyst for more opportunities. And I hope that one day, if you do make it big, you throw me like a bit part, and I'll be like, thank you so much, because I have a good feeling about you. Where can we follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram at this_is_Coop, and I post random goofy shit there, but also information on shows, information on projects, all that stuff is right there.
Wow. Well, Coop, I want to thank you for being here. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and the SoundCloud. This has been the Improv Live with Fernando, my amazing guest, Coop Foster. Thank you so much, and have a good one, and goodbye. Woo! Oh,